helps me grow as a designer.
In the podcast name itself, right?
Also have to give a reason.
Will it take our job?
Why did you leave Settle?
Hello, welcome back to the podcast.
Hello. How's your feeling so far about the first episode that we launched recently?
I'm very excited actually, to be honest with you. After we posted that video, I kind of like look at the analytics every day.
Same.
It's like
Vanity metrics.
anyone looking at our videos, and I'm very happy lah. I think we receive a lot of great support from the community, especially our friends, our colleagues. So
Doing the short clips on social media, it's pretty something new for me. Like, I need to learn a lot of stuff for that, so it's pretty interesting as well.
Gad was like solid at posting all these shots. like wow, luckily have Gad lah.
Yeah, it was fun. Use all the AI tools.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do we have for the second episode?
For the second episode, we are very excited to have a special guest today. For the first time, we're just not talking to each other. We're going to have someone to learn from. Today, we're going to have Tracy.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Welcome to the podcast. I think maybe just a bit of intro, right? Like, I've known Tracy for a few years now. I think the first time I know about her was me interviewing her for a role at Settle. I remember looking at her portfolio with like a lot of details, a lot of screens and analysis, and that makes me like, wow, this designer is very, very crazy in terms of research and analysis of how did she do things, right? So that makes me want to talk to her a bit more. Very fortunate to get to work with her for a few years. But now she's in foodpanda, delivery hero.
Delivery hero.
Yeah, and we are looking forward to hear more about what she can share to the community here.
Yeah, so Tracy, she used to work on the fuel team, if I'm not mistaken. And then only like 1+ years like that, she moved to foodpanda. Or is it now delivery hero?
So maybe Tracy, you can talk a bit about how you get into, designing. Like, is that something you've been interested in, or is that something you study at school? How do you get started?
Yeah, I didn't study design at school, unfortunately, or fortunately. My interest started because I was very like into the arts and craft, the creative side of things. So I was working on like graphic design related stuff, and that kind of built my portfolio. And then with that portfolio, even though I studied marketing, I got into a graphic design role, which then in my first year of my career, I stumbled upon Uiux, and then I never turned back. So it's been 9 years since.
So you stumbled upon Uiux in your first job, during the job itself?
Yeah.
Or how is it from other colleagues, or
it was a project.
Oh, okay.
I had to do like a fashion landing page. I'm not sure if I can drop the company name, but like it was a landing page, and looking back, it's just horrible UI. But it was something new. I didn't understand UX at the time. I just found that it was very interesting to learn about how we want to structure a landing page, how the experience is going to be like when you scroll the page, when you use the page, use all the elements on the page.
You didn't know what you are actually applying is user experience or improving the user experience, but rather you're just doing it lah, just to have a good outcome, right?
Yeah, I think it came a little bit natural, but of course there was some like effort to like understand further. But in general, you let's say, for example, you want users to click book now, and how do I make that more prominent? It was quite natural, I think, for that first project. So that got me hooked into UX.
Nice.
Yeah.
You get somebody to mentor you in that company for that project, or is it something you learn on online or on YouTube?
Definitely, it was mostly self-learn. So I was working in that company. It's a boutique agency called Open Minds. In that company, it's like mostly marketers, digital marketers, doing social media, graphic designers, and just a tech team. I'm pretty sure they're like a different subset of team right now, but at the time, nobody was a UX designer. So I had to basically learn on the go. I did have a little bit of like guidance at the start from like the engineers, like the CTO,
Okay.
like like telling me about, you know, just general like website design, you know.
Right.
From
but then-
non-designers, essentially.
Sorry?
From non-designers.
From non-designers, yes. So he's just telling me like all those like basic web design principles. That kind of got me hooked. But then further on, I had to self-learn. So I did not take a course. I don't know why I didn't take a course. Maybe I was very I like to, self-driven. I like to
Yeah.
learn on my own. So I like research on a lot of things, even outside of work as well. So I think it was just very natural for me to like, you know, go and find out what this UX thing is about, what this UI thing is about. So I did it on my own, like through YouTube and like following other
Designers.
designers, outside Malaysia.
How do you know what to do to improve? Like I think a lot of challenges for new designers, right, who want to do this, right? They are stuck. It's like, okay, what should I learn next? Like I've seen this video, maybe I try this. Like how do I progress myself? You know, as I grow further into the role, right?
Reading a lot of case studies, comparing that designer's work versus yours is very, very telling on
Right.
where the gaps are. And not only that, I think maybe if you look at like theory-wise, like a design thinking process, right, the double diamond and things like that, you can tell exactly what you're not doing, what you're doing. And you can tell that whether you're only touching the surface or whether there are some areas where you didn't explore further to make a better design decision. I don't know if
I think the case study part is important. I usually share this link to this website for casestudy.club or something like. There's a list of case studies by different designers from different companies, right? I think that helps to explain things. Like sometimes you know that you need to do certain things, but you cannot justify or explain that to your stakeholders or to your team members, right?
Yeah.
And then having this kind of terminologies and explanation and justification helps to, you know, to bring your case to the team better. I think that's a good advice.
I remember last time I was doing websites, right? I do a lot of like writing of case studies and website of case study, and my friend was telling me, "Oh, but you love case studies, ah?" if you want to get career advice from Baim, just do case study. That's what they were saying lah. But then I was like thinking, oh, did I really did that? But like you guys said, I think case studies are very important, right? To show your design process, your thought process,
Yeah, thinking process.
your thinking process, how you back up your design decisions.
Yeah.
And like you said, Tracy, also macam help. If you look at how other people do case study, you can see which part yourself is missing or not practicing. So
Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about your time at foodpanda, right? Sorry, you are in foodpanda now, in Delivery Hero. Maybe talk about what team are you working in? Is there any specific project that you usually work for?
I've been in foodpanda for about 3 years. I just got my anniversary in September.
congrats.
Thank you. I was for the most part in the retention domain, so I work on like loyalty, making gamification on the platform.
Right.
Something to note as well. I don't just handle foodpanda. So so Delivery Hero is like our parent company that has a lot of like, you can just look it up online, right? There's like a lot of food delivery apps under this company. But there's like an internal group that we have. Not sure if we can disclose the name. It's just an internal name anyway. But we handle 3 brands. So foodpanda is the APAC region. And then we have Yemek Sepeti in Turkey and Foodora in Europe. So I work across like loyalty efforts or strategies across all these 3 brands. So it might look different across different brands essentially because, you know, different strategies in different market, right? But right now we had a shift in like a team shift restructure kind of thing, like a different way to structure the team. So previously it was like a Spotify model,
The squad model,
a
right?
Spotify squad model,
Right.
but now we're shifted. And therefore I also have shifted as well away from retention. I'm in incentives right now. So working on like how do we incentivize the user through different means like vouchers and things like that.
From your experience so far with that change, how do you see that? How do you see designers' work or designers' process impacted in a better way or in a negative way?
Good question. So we started very recently in Q4. As you know, I was mentioning that I was in loyalty, right? The whole, like most of my career in foodpanda. But now having to be in incentives, I have to like basically download the information of incentives. I'm not obviously fully aware of all the nitty-gritty details of what is going on in the incentives domain. So that shift, that is some adjustment time, and the company is very well aware of that. So that's still okay.
Can you talk more a bit on the incentives part? Like, can you explain a bit more what do you mean incentives in your context?
This incentive mission that I'm in is to help incentivize the user through internal and external strategies, like maybe through partner incentivization or something like that. The goal is also to help users to discover how they can utilize incentives to improve their experience on the app. So keep them retained on the product as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. What are the things that the company provide or your managers provide that helps designers to do the best job for the company? Is there any specific supports or things that they give that allows you to do the best thing that you need to do?
I think it's how they empower you, in a sense where even though it's your first week in the company, and let's say, for example, you joined the loyalty squad. You know, I'm just speaking from my POV, right? But they don't see you as someone new in that sense. They will see you like, okay, you're the expert in loyalty. You're empowered to make decisions.
Right.
And how do you make those decisions, right? So you don't have like a sort of like a template way to make those decisions. You have to kind of figure out yourself. So I think that empowerment really helps you grow, at least for me. It helps me grow as a designer, because you know that your opinions matter, your decision matters, and not all process look like a cookie cutter process, and it's still fine. Yeah,
that's very important to have as a product team, right? Like you don't want to be just executing what your boss is telling you to do. So having that empowerment is very key.
One thing that we didn't cover in the previous episode was actually to maybe have a brief introduction on what is design thinking, since design thinking is in the podcast name itself, right? So maybe we go around. What do you understand from design thinking? So let me start first, okay? For me, design thinking is a tool or methodology to involve customer in your final solution. Yeah,
I think anything that can be done to make sure that your understanding of the problem and your suggestions on how to solve it involve the potential customers or the right user, the right audience, instead of just you on Figma, right? So as long as you involve them and do the right, go through the right process to validate those assumptions, I think that's one way to think about it.
I would simply put it, I agree with both of you. I think the customer is definitely the main driver in the process. So I would say that it's empathizing with the problem space.
One thing that I hear recently from one of the talk or one of the workshop, they mentioned that design thinking is a process to find value for the customer, like to find the value that relevant for the customer. And when you go into the development process, the agile process is for you to deliver the value already. Like so you want to make sure that you find the right value and deliver the right value to the customer once you have the product to the market, right?
Rather than building it and then decide later that it's not the right value.
Deliver first, not knowing it's the right thing to deliver. Right?
And I want to add on top of that as well. It might not necessarily just be like customers, right? It's about users lah, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to be implemented in a company. I think one of the workshop that we joined last time, he used to work with our Prime Minister. So I find that interesting, right? Design thinking is not just like producing business outcome. It's also for organization to provide a solution that is using empathy to solve the actual user problem.
Yeah.
Whatever it is the case, yeah.
Yeah, it's not only to create digital solution, right? For us designers,
Exactly.
we tend to think about it as designing something in a digital format, right? Like, it can also be like how to solve a queuing problem at a bank,
Yeah.
or like solving filling up forms at a shop, right? Yeah, so it's still gonna go through the same process of understanding what is the problem of the current way of doing things and find a solution for it, lah.
Yeah.
So I guess that's how design thinking can be used for different kind of different kind of problems and different industry.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe this is just a personal opinion. I think for everyone in the tech space right now, we are to some degree implementing design thinking without realizing it.
Yeah.
We are involving customer to some or user in some extent. So that's why that's why I prefer to have club lah in the podcast name. Like we are all problem solvers to some degree. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree to say that in most product companies they already kind of doing it a bit here and there, but they probably don't see it as a formal way of doing things. But sometimes it's fine. Maybe there are certain restriction or constraint that you have that doesn't allow you to do full 100% way, right? But as long as you are not short sendiri, like designing things how you like it, as long as you like it, then it's not enough lah, right? So you still have to know what people actually feel about your solution as well. Yeah, so maybe we can talk a bit about how does design process and collaboration between roles in foodpanda works, right? Maybe do you work directly with researchers, or are you also the one doing the research? Maybe can share a bit how does that work?
So we definitely work very closely with like all the the key stakeholders, right? Like product managers, researchers, and engineers. So your question about research, we are also empowered to run our own research. Mainly those that are like more UT based. So researchers are there for support. They run more bigger research initiatives, like such as like a moderated research, right? So they will like interview the participants and things like that. But for like UT and I don't know, guerrilla testing, you as a product designer, you are, I guess, somewhat expected, empowered
to do it
to
yourself.
lead it as well.
Right.
With that task, you're also expected to create that research design as well. Plan how you want to get those answers out of the participants or the design that you want, and then you kind of like we kind of run it through the researchers just as a support, because we are product designers at the end of the day. We're not researchers, so we are still learning as we go. So I think this opportunity is really great in the company that allows you to expand your experience in that area.
So you can still do your own, but they are there to support when there's when you need some help, right?
Yeah, we have like this thing set up called office hours.
Oh, okay.
You can just like book a time, and then a researcher will be assigned to your project, and then
Nice.
yeah, and then you kind of like give your deck, your research design deck up front, and then they will get context, right? So during the call, you just it's like a 30-minute call, and then you basically ask them like, okay, specific questions, anything you want to focus on, then they kind of guide you along the way.
Okay. So, and this research team, where are they based from?
Oh, so we have tech hubs in both Singapore and Berlin. So it depends wherever they can be based everywhere. Yeah.
So when you can reach out to them, let's say maybe in your case, let's say for a Southeast Asian project, you can reach out to Singapore team to conduct the research, something like that, is it?
No, I don't think we segregate on regions because because everyone is expected to know the market that you're working on. So like I was mentioning that we worked on the 3 markets, right? APAC, Europe, and Turkey. So you as a product designer, researcher, PM, you should know the market as well. So The research that we run would cover most of these markets depending on the needs of the project. So you would get insights from here and there. So everybody is kind of familiar with the region. Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Let's say today is a Monday. Walk us through your 8 hour, like 8 hour of day in the life of a Tracy.
Oh,
Monday, maybe.
Mondays.
Yeah, Monday is a busy day, I guess.
Mondays.
You're working from home, right?
I do work from home.
Yeah, it's
so
fine.
very fortunate
Yeah.
in a way. I get up around like 7:30 or 8 and then just to have some time for breakfast because that's like my favorite meal of the day. And then I kind of start work around like 9. So my day is kind of split between, because there's 2 time zones, right, that we mainly deal with. So Europe and APAC. So half of the day, which is like 9 to 3, it would be mainly dealing with my APAC counterparts. So that could be like anyone from any chapter, right? Depending on where they are located, right? It's not like specifics. And then from 3 onwards, then you can start to catch out the Berlin team, they are like awake. It's like it's time to message them, remind them to get back to something that they missed or something like that, or schedule some meetings usually. So now with like the missions model, I'm working even more with some Berlin counterparts. People are based outside of APAC time zone. So right now my day is more packed.
Reading.
Yeah, from 3 to 6.
Right.
So it's like more meetings from 3 to 6. And then from 9 to 3 is where I can get all my output, all my work done, the training stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So it feels nice to have that kind of a split, right? It's like, okay, I cannot talk to anyone because they are not awake. So I'll do the job first. I do my other stuff first.
There are people awake in APAC though.
Oh, yeah, true. Okay. How about conversation? I'm sure there's a lot of like meetings and discussions, right? Who do you usually spend time with when it comes to this kind of discussions?
It varies, I think, because different projects would involve different stakeholders. So a lot of the designers I work with are based in APAC. So that's the 9 to 3. And then there's also designers that I work with, maybe like the design system team, who's in Berlin. Then I would have to wait for like 3 to 6. I don't know if that answered your question. Okay.
So how many designers are there in your team? Like,
in my team?
Yeah,
my current
do you
team?
have a team of designers within your team? Or how does it work?
You mean like in my missions?
Yeah.
Yes, we have 3 designers in my mission. And then each one of us have our own main sort of topic or project in that mission. And then some is like a combined effort. So like me and another designer.
And who do you collab with mostly within your team? Is it like with other designers? Or do you involve with engineers, PMs, or how?
So I work very closely with my lead product designer. So she's, because I'm like sharing a project with her right now. But of course, I work with the usual suspects. So like the engineers to make sure that, whatever I'm proposing is feasible. PM to make sure that, whatever I'm proposing is aligned with like the product strategy. And of course, I also collaborate very closely with my VP at the moment.
Okay, yeah. So I've been doing a bit of research online about design thinking. Apparently, one of the gaps is that design thinking, the concept, theoretical, is in abundance out there. Tapi in practical is not enough. So I was thinking to how can also maybe we talk a bit about that so that others can follow. Maybe you can talk a bit more how you guys are implementing it in your current role.
I would maybe draw some examples from back then when we had the squad model. So we will have, key initiatives within the squad itself. And for product side, on how do we determine like what kind of direction we want to go to, we would have to kind of discover those problems, right? So I think in most companies, it's normal to have directives coming from the top, right? That's pretty normal. But what we do as well, we would run workshops with our stakeholders. So for example, we have, since, I was in loyalty, we would then run workshops with our partners in our internal stakeholders, trying to understand their problem space for the market, and what better ways from the internal stakeholder themselves. They know the market, right? So when we host those workshops, we can sort of identify the problems that we need to solve, what kind of product gap that we have that we can address in our, strategies moving forward. So from there, we would then craft like a business proposal, and then we like pitch it to business and see whether it takes on.
When you say pitch the proposal, right? What do you prepare for that?
So we'll get a lot of data. I think that is a very, very important aspect of a good pitch. So we have to gather key data points. I think data is very important in differentiating a good pitch and a poor one, right?
Especially with the high ups.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because they need to
Speaking
know
their lingo.
they need to know whether, the resource that they put into this project that you're proposing is worth it or not, and what results they're gonna yield, right?
Yeah.
So definitely research data and also a little bit of visual just to entice them in the pitch deck.
Of course.
Yeah.
When you say workshop just now, can you tell me a bit more who were involved in the workshop? Like, how did that was? Who arranged it or whatnot?
I think it can be a design initiated workshop, or it could be a product initiated workshop. Sometimes it could be a collaboration between both chapters. Who's involved in the workshop would be like the internal stakeholders. So it could be from marketing. We also always invite researchers because they come with a breadth of knowledge because they are in that research space. So they have it at the back of their hand, basically, all the data points, what users said. Analytics, of course, is also involved. We tend to also give like a mini homework before the workshop so that people attending it, they don't come in like sort of blank, right? They have some context.
Yeah.
And then we can just get right onto the activity for the workshop. Yeah.
How does that look like? Like, what kind of homework?
It could look different in different contexts. Sometimes it could just be a deck with just a bunch of information that you need to know beforehand, like maybe the problem space or something like that, and which we will go through in detail in the workshop itself. Or it could be a mini activity, right? Maybe from your perspective in that market, based on the problems that you're facing. Could be surface level, could be something deeper, and then you just list it on the board, and we can prioritize that in the workshop.
So then when you are actually running the workshop, it won't take as long, right?
That's the goal. But things are not so ideal. We always run over, but we have to make sure that we keep the time.
How long was the workshop?
How long? It varies. It can take 1 hour. Sometimes it takes 3 hours.
Oh, okay.
But 3 hours could be broken down to like, okay, maybe the first hour is APAC, maybe the second hour is something else. Not everybody is involved. We don't also want to take up everyone's time, but that's just in my experience. So there are many different types of workshops that's conducted by other squads as well. They're in a different style. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Not every team will even consider running a workshop. They don't think it's that important, right?
Yeah.
So they just like, we have a directive from the boss.
That's
Yeah,
true.
just do it, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Because
Another challenge about workshop is like, I'm scared to invite the bosses.
Yeah.
The bosses say, don't waste my time. Don't invite lah.
Even when you're inviting the marketing team, right? Like, why suddenly involve marketing team, Maybe some people will consider that,
That's true. Yeah, it gives them like a voice lah. You're not just doing marketing for marketing. You're also influencing the product.
Their point of view, right?
Yeah.
Because they will be the one who marketing
Correct.
it. Marketing it.
The market.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in a sense, everybody has some piece of ownership in the product.
Yeah, I think like in our case, for example, last time, most of the time we invite people from the ops team, right? Because the customer support, because they are the one who face the customer every day, like complaints, and so they have more visibility on how would they react for certain solution. Yeah. Okay, I think let's move away from foodpanda for a while.
Yeah.
I want to talk a bit about Settle. We are going back in time. Why did you leave Settle? No, just kidding.
This is the real episode.
I remember before you joined Settle, you mentioned the agency, right? It's like a marketing-ish agency, but some product stuff. Because I see a lot of this happening as well when I interview designers back then, right? Moving on from marketing agency kind of a company to a product company, right? How did you experience that transition, and what let's say the challenge that you faced when doing that transition?
So maybe I'll share about why I moved from an agency to like a product environment. And I love this question because I find, at least for me, I find more fulfillment in understanding how the design works, why it works.
And you feel like working in an agency, you kind of just build something and just let it go.
Yeah, you build mainly for the client. I mean, let's be real here. Like the client wants something in red, you just give something in red. I mean, you can try to propose, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
I didn't really find fulfillment in that. Like, I want to understand why are we designing that way? And from shadowing other designers online, you can tell that, you know, what they're learning from big tech is totally different from an agency environment. And that kind of gave me like, okay, I can actually understand the impact of design, right? In agency, you just kind of let it go and then you don't really get feedback. You're just a factory. You're like a UI factory. So I don't want to offend anyone here, but
I also want to add, I think I saw an article about this, like someone wrote something about this, that she was a designer and enjoy working in an agency, right? Because she said that she can touch multiple products at once.
That's right.
Compared to working in a single company and only one type of product, right? So I think it's a sometimes to some degree it's a personal preferences.
Yes.
Yeah, I think for those who like to iterate, right? Let's say I design something, I want to see the numbers and then see how can we improve for the users. The product companies make sense, right? Because they can continuously improve. But if they want to work on different kind of industry, after 1 month move to a different project and the agency works for them. But that transition for you is helpful because you already wanted to do that, right?
Yes, and actually, to be honest, that reason was why I kind of stayed in that agency company for close to 5 years. It was, I mean, it was just my first company, and I stayed there close to 5 years. So it's I thought it would be much better to make impact more broadly, right? You touch many industries, you get to learn bits and pieces here and there. But then as I grew in my career, that I know that's not what I wanted. So then I decided to move on to like a more product in-house environment. And to answer your question, the challenges were definitely, it's a different way of working. Like, we didn't have like a squad model in an agency, right? You just get a brief, you do it, you talk to the client, done deal. For a squad model, you really have to collaborate with all the stakeholders that you never even knew that you had, like like a PM, like I never even had. So I think Settle gave me that exposure.
If you guys use Settle, right, you open the view purchase screen, you will see that palm numbers animated from the right moving to the left. That's her work lah. I remember we were trying to solve a problem actually. People didn't know that you can scroll to see the other numbers, the other palm numbers. And that animated transition, like when you open the screen, it animate into the view, that helps to actually stop those complaints actually. So that's her.
That sounds great. I still remember that Figma file.
The arrow is pointing.
I have some.
There's a design spec for it. Very cool.
I miss it.
Cool. I want to take a break to do a quick session. What is it called? There's this thing called like rapid fire question kind of thing. I'll give you a few items and you have to classify as overrated, underrated,
yes,
or properly rated. I steal this from another podcast actually.
Over, under, or properly rated?
Yeah. Yes.
Do I also have to give a reason?
No.
Okay.
No context. No reason. But if you,
I
you
may
can also
ask.
You're excited.
Maybe we'll
You're
just
too
like-
excited.
dark mode. Dark mode on apps.
Good.
Flat design.
Overrated. A
Overrated.
little overrated.
So you prefer some
Maybe a little
some depth.
spice into it. Yeah.
right. I think it's coming back also.
Yeah.
Dribble.
Oh, overrated.
It's over, right?
Over.
Why, yeah?
Yeah, why actually dribble?
Yeah.
Because it's too old.
Don't want to offend anyone here.
Yeah.
Don't want to offend anyone here. I think there's a lot of
I think it evolved into something less practical, maybe.
yes,
Right?
yes.
Yeah. I think it was
very
a good start
idealistic.
last time. But I think more importantly right now, you should look for design that are being used in the market, like more being, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
compared
I
to-
think, I mean, just to add, I find that, I know a lot of people find Dribble a bit overrated. I agree in terms of the user experience, right? It's not the best place to find a good UX example. But Mobin is a good one, right?
Yeah.
But I think Dribble is very good for
Inspiration.
new designer. Like
Yeah.
people who, that's the place where people start doing the, the 100 days UI challenge. So you have no experience in design, and then you just create
Do it,
any design like a login page or anything, and you just campak there, and no one will care. So I think it's a good start for new
Yeah.
designer actually.
So you're talking about the platform itself. Like,
Yeah.
it's good for the. Oh, I'm talking about what's on the platform.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the same like
Currently. Lah.
if
Yeah.
for I think it's for experienced designer, it might not be the best platform to go to, but for new designer, it's a great start. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay lah, tidak say lah for that.
I think we had a comment from our listener. He was asking about how does AI affect designers in the future? Will
Or
it
even
take
now,
out-
like designers
maybe
now.
even now, because AI is here already, right? Maybe not to that full extent yet, but people have been wondering whether will it take our job as a designer? What do you think, Tracy?
AI and design.
Are you using any AI tools in your process right now? Like personally?
I did try a little bit, but I feel like it was more effort to tell the AI what to do rather than just
Right.
me doing it. You know, I have all the ideas. This is my AI.
example. Like, what do you use it for?
Yeah, I tried a few things. So one is like prompting it to create a page that I want. Maybe just to give me a
On Figma? Or?
on Figma, yeah.
Okay.
I think I did try online as well, but I can't remember what it was. But basically, I'm just writing a prompt. What I need the page to have, and I knew that it wasn't on par to what I would want to
Yeah, yeah.
expect, at least at this stage. But I wanted it as a starting point.
Right.
But it didn't really work out that well, to at least in my experience. So
Yeah.
I find it was more troublesome and more effort to tell the AI what to do rather than just doing it myself, you know.
At the same time, 2 years ago, we didn't expect AI to do any visual for us, It's just like answering questions. So then you think, if to continue on that point, right? If you can see the trajectory of AI is exponential, it's not like linear, right?
Yeah.
So maybe AI one day can do that. Can exactly even like expect what you wanted to design, right? So
Yeah,
when,
but you don't have to think of this AI, replacing design as just to create design, right? Like, like for example, let's talk about now, right? Like not future. Like, for me, for example, right, when I was doing this, we were in a workshop recently, so we have to do this quick prototype, right? I use AI to generate the stock photos that I use in that mockup or the copywriting, so I don't have to think about it. I just, I have the design. I do the design, but the content inside the design, the stock photos are all generated using AI. Yeah, so it's not like I have to let AI do everything for me, but it assists me on completing some parts of the design.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think copywriting definitely helps a lot.
Yeah.
The other day I was building this website for one of the event in Setter coming soon. The whole copy is written by AI. But of
It's
course,
great
need
at
to review.
copywriting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did use the copywriting AI, but I find that it obviously lacks localization. And I think, especially for Settle, I think Settle is very
You can still ask them to
Heavy
write in
localization.
different language.
It's getting
but
better. though,
localized slang.
Can, yeah. I mean,
Really?
you need to do my wife is a copywriter. She really give a lot of instruction.
You have to be a master at prompt.
Yeah, you have to
prompt
really
master.
tell them a lot of things. Then only they. I mean, of course, they are not a good tool to tell. I mean, to give you an idea. Right? You should have an idea already. The AI should help to refine it or make some adjustment to it.
Yeah. So last time we were doing a design thinking workshop, right? And then we were doing all the design thinking tools like gathering feedback, idea tree, brainstorming, and it involves a lot of people in the call. So you know how we usually do it with the post-it note, right? So everyone just write your ideas and whatnot and just stick it on the wall, right?
Yeah.
What we use AI that we find was very, very useful was that I can just select all,
Yeah. Summarize.
summarize,
Yeah.
or like group by topic.
Yeah.
So that already saved like at least 5 to 10 minutes of our time discussing on that topic. So even if we were not going that far at okay, I want AI to just completely design an app for me.
Yeah.
Even on that level, it's already helping us
Yeah.
to make us a better designer
Yeah.
or like a faster, more efficient
quicker,
designer.
yeah.
When I was studying computer science, right? So we actually have a lot of this kind of debates in the class. One thing that prevails is that we kind of agree AI won't actually replace you. It's just gonna change your job. You're gonna be a slightly different designer, or even if essentially you're not going to do the same job, and if you are being replaced upon, you are actually gonna be doing another stuff.
Yeah.
Another task.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the way I used to explain this to somebody last time, we look at design system, right? Like last time, nobody have design system. You have to do everything from scratch every time. And suddenly there's this library of components. It doesn't stop you from building or designing apps. It just makes you faster and more efficient. Right? So this is just a way to improve your efficiency, your speed, or make your work better also in a way. Yeah.
And at the core, essentially, if you're a designer, you are a problem solver, right?
Yeah.
So you will still
Solving
solve problems.
With different tools, right?
Different tools,
Yeah.
different approach, Okay.
Alright, I think that's pretty much for the serious stuff. Maybe we can close this a bit with
Some life advice.
some life advice.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
pretty serious.
It's still serious? Okay. Maybe some tips or
maybe.
advice to new designers, right? Because you are currently working at foodpanda and Delivery Hero and kind of like looking over a lot of kind of like a big company.
It's a big
right?
company, a lot of users, a lot of things to worry about. Yeah, maybe if somebody who interested to to go through this experience, this journey as well, to be a designer at foodpanda. Is there any tips?
Want to get to your level right now? Maybe you don't think that it's very high, but I'm sure to me actually it's very high. Right? Quite an achievement. So maybe you can.
Okay, that's very nice of you. Is this specifically to junior designers?
Yeah, maybe who are new to this.
So I've consistently said to people like, don't forget your craft. I think for junior designers, it's not a big advice because they tend to dive deep into like building UI and then mirroring what they see, then trying to build it on Figma, right? That's usually how they start off. But I think specifically for junior designers, maybe they should start also to learn stakeholder management. I think it's one thing to design, but also another thing to speak for your design.
Right.
You need to be able to sell your design as well. That's very, very important. So it's not just about flowery words about your, like, how my button looks like this is the page, blah, blah, blah. Like, you have to back it up with like data and stuff like that. So there's a lot of key areas that you need to, get your feet dipped into to be ahead of other designers, I think. Because I think the economy or the market right now is very saturated. So what can help you stand out is knowing that these counterparts, other than just your design, matters as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to speak their language, right?
Yeah.
Convince them. I think during the FuseCon recently, I think Izwan was mentioning about designers who have business acumen. I think similar, right? So if you want to talk to the business people, stakeholders, so you need to be able to understand how the business works and what design brings to them as a business owner, right?
Yeah, we don't survive on just nice visuals anymore.
Yeah.
But still needed, right?
Yeah, we still, yes,
But we
never
still
forget your craft.
Needed to get attention.
Correct.
That's
Don't
what
forget
I
your
say,
craft
yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Right. What do you like to do for fun?
Right now I like bouldering, which is a very tech bro answer.
I used to do bouldering last
Oh,
time.
you do?
Yeah.
You should join again.
Last time lah.
Last time lah. Now look at my tummy.
I try to do once. My finger hurts.
So your hands now must be strong, right?
I wish.
Like your grip.
Oh yeah, we worked on that.
So what level can you climb now?
I'm not that great. I'm just afraid of falling.
Like the most of us.
I do like the adrenaline, but yeah, I'm taking it at a very cautious level. Sometimes I do like listening to podcasts. And speaking of empathy, I have a podcast to recommend. I'm not sure if you guys have listened to this podcast
What
called
is it?
Everything is Alive.
Everything is
Alive.
alive.
Yeah. So
Sounds very enticing though.
it is. It's not design related, but here's how it can help, right? So Everything is Alive is a podcast that interviews inanimate objects.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It
Interview
should be a
inanimate
lot easier,
object.
bro.
Yes.
Should do that.
How does that work?
Yeah, I fully recommend it. So basically they have, it's all podcast, right? Obviously you don't see like a bottle of Coke talking to you, but they will voice as a bottle of Coke and then there's an interviewer. And then they ask questions about, what's your life like as a bottle of Coke,
Ooh.
And
It's like I was in our school last time lah. Like aku seekor something, right? Aku sepasang baju.
Yeah. And
Ah.
and how I find it related to our career or like our thinking space is it helps you empathize
Oh.
better, like makes you think of how you can relate to something, how you can relate to
If you are a shoe,
Different.
you put yourself.
yeah, it gives you
Walking
a lot of perspective. Obviously, it's a fake content, but it helps you. It helps me to think like from a different perspective.
Yeah,
It's very
right.
interesting way on how to apply empathy, and I highly recommend.
Maybe we can make that into like a practice in our company. Like one day pretend, okay, today you are.
You are Ron 95 pump.
I always Ron 97. It's like, why nobody pick me?
Subsidy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna have a listen to that
Please do.
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's the time that we have with Tracy today. It's
Thank
been
you,
very
Tracy.
interesting to hear all this. All right, Baim, anything else to add?
Yeah. Thank you, Tracy, for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Balik.
You're welcome. I would love to invite you guys back on the podcast.
Thank you, Tracy, for coming on board.
Thank
I
you
think
for
it was
having me.
such a pleasure to speak to you. Okay, thank you, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Just a heads up, we are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
So do go to our website and see all the
the
channels
links, yeah.
that we have. And if you have any questions, please leave the questions below in the comments or suggestion, idea. Maybe we can consider to bring it to our next episode. So yeah, subscribe.
Ciao.